So they're the third best at this minute, and is what I believe. I think if they played a best of 5 against Cloud9, they would win the best of 5 against Cloud9 if that series was tomorrow. Now, maybe Perks levels up in playoffs, right? Maybe Sven levels up in playoffs. Maybe they figure this stuff out, and then there you go, right? Maybe Alfari finds his footing, and he's back. Maybe Santorin, right, starts feeling better, and he's back. Those are relevant factors. But the way TL and Cloud9 are playing, and this is more of like a TL and Cloud9 are not very good point, but like Immortals have really stepped up. They are doing really well, and I would take them against both those teams today.
I am so glad that you said that, because guess what is coming up on our schedule, baby? Immortals versus Cloud9 on Friday, the next day of LCS. I feel like we should throw down a bet on this one. I'll bet on Cloud9. You bet on Immortals.
I'm happy to.
We just like show up on the day with like face paint of the other team or something.
That sounds great. Yes, right. I will have the Immortals tattoo. Get your Cloud9 one.
Okay.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. And the LCS, where apparently Freak thinks, not just today, but in a best of 5, Immortals in their current form would take down Cloud9. You leave the dive for 1 week, and mayhem breaks loose.
That's why it's usually me there. I mean, so here's what I'll say about that point, is in sports, you often hear the saying, in order to learn how to win, you first have to learn how to not lose. And because in League, you know, people will, in their drafts, you can get out drafted where someone has like a clever counter pick. And there's times where like you just had a bad draft. You have mistakes around Baron, you have bad laning phases, you misplay. If you clean all that up, you're like halfway to being a good team. And I would say that's where Immortals kind of is right now. They largely don't defeat themselves. And that's something that C9 has let big leads get away from them. Team Liquid as well has made mistakes. And right now, Immortals plays a very clean game. I would say that there's still more top end and like playmaking they can add on. But generally, I like their drafts. I like they're playing all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so when looking at a best of 5, the thing I'd be concerned about with Immortals is being able to adjust as another team adjusts. But I also do think that to compare them to their spring iteration, and I keep saying this, in spring, they were really all over the place. And when they didn't get a draft they wanted and fell behind, it looked really, really bad. Now you can see this team not only continue to experiment with drafts, but like they've shored up enough of their weaknesses that pinpointing the mistakes they make is so much easier. And that's like when you're a team that you already get to that point, it's so much easier to improve off of that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. In a best of 1.
What's the thing?
In a best of 1, I'm with Freak. I do.
Oh.
In a best of 1, I wouldn't necessarily.
IMT today.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna pick him today.
Or ever, apparently. If not today, win. Solidarity.
I don't think it's unreasonable.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I do think in a best of 5, to Emily's point, like this is not a team that we've seen a ton of different looks from.
Yeah.
Right? We've essentially seen them abuse for melee, be really good at it, and be a team that has, you know, their roster unchanged and has really refined their style. This is a C9 that is just coming off the heels of getting, you know, one of their, you know, leaders of the team and one of the best bot laners of the league back. So I think judging them based on what we saw from them a week ago and then saying, hey, in a best of 5, I still favor Immortals is a little too far for me. So I think it's a reasonable bet on the first one. I wouldn't take that bet on the second one.
Yeah, it's weird because like I don't ultimately agree, but I do want to argue his side.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, do it.
no.
I feel like the draft for Immortals has been pretty good. Like we've seen them have the Rumble games, which is what they kind of started on, and were, well, I think when they looked often their best. But you know, the Gragas games, they've continued to branch out, and I think they've shown enough that like they have what works for them. The Ziggs game, they easily could have won that one, even though they did end up losing it. And I think for C9, they're still struggling to come back. Like Sven came back in, was not the magic silver bullet to suddenly make Blabber play better. Perks was still making mistakes and stuff, and so. I think that there is a case to be made. Like I said, I might not actually be there, but I'm just defending.
You're talking yourself into it right now.
I'm defending my temporary stand-in on the dive and Freak.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, there definitely are a lot of questions surrounding Cloud9 because they haven't looked good all split long, really with either iteration of the roster, but you do want to afford them some time, especially given the ceiling of the players on that team. So let's go ahead and flip the script and let's talk about Immortals for a moment. I do want to kind of focus in on one player in specific pick, and that's Insanity in the mid lane. Of course, this patch, we believe, will shake up the mid lane a little bit. Ultimately, how will it play out today against Perks?
Yeah, I mean, thus far we haven't seen that shake it up all that much, except for the addition of LeBlanc as like a slightly higher priority pick. But I do think there is a lot to be said from Insanity playing most specifically the Nocturne, because it seems to be this pivot point around which IMT like to play. However, on the opposite side, I think Perks in a meta where mages are more readily available, since he hasn't looked like it's really frustrating to say this because Perks can play anything, right? Like, and I know that he has a really, really deep champion pool. It's pretty much just been the Renekton that we've kind of taken issue with. But these two mid laners going up against each other, I'm really curious given how much the team and like how much of an unsung hero kind of Insanity is for his team. Whereas Perks is very obviously someone who came in, had a ton of hype, hasn't necessarily had the split that he definitely would have wanted thus far, but as someone who I always look to as, I do think the meta shift will benefit him. I do think just having Sven back for longer will benefit C9. Like, I'm still not super, super concerned about them, despite the mistakes we've seen them make.
Now we have up behind us all 3 drafts from Immortals that they've run at least previously. What's the assessment then? Because the first thing that jumps out to me is 2 Nocturne games, right? And there's been a lot of success with Nocturne in the mid lane. I mean, again, there's not necessarily been an indication that he's going to fall out of the meta per se. But is it the kind of thing that can be run into Perks?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is Nocturne, I don't expect to make it to Immortals. Like, given the amount of success that they've had, given the fact that it's a triple flex, given the fact that Stridebreaker only made this champion more powerful. Yeah, I'm hoping that IMT has alternative looks. And here with this draft that they did against CLG, we did see an alternative look, right? We saw them more focus on the Xin and having Karma supercharge him. But Xin is also a high priority pick, right? Who might not, fall to them in draft. So I think from what I see from Immortals, they look really, really comfortable when they're on 3 or 4 melee. And I think they've sort of found their groove there. But with the meta now changing and some of these picks even becoming higher priority, I want to see, do they have multiple looks that are going to succeed for them?
All right, well, they've put some skin in the game on the dive, so I feel like it's only natural that I make the 3 of you do the same. Not necessarily in terms of an actual bet, but I do want to know who you think is going to take it. Did you talk yourself into it, Mark? Will Immortals take this game?
I didn't submit my predictions for today. So
well, great.
Oh, my God.
This is your opportunity.
So I can say whatever I want.
You can.
So I'm going to say Immortals take it.
Oh.
Immortals taking it here. You already kind of tipped your cap.
Hold on. Immortals takes it, and are you going to predict it? Is this your on-record prediction?
Yeah, prediction.
All right.
Okay, you're going to send them that email too?
We'll see.
I'm going to predict C9.
C9 right here.
I did predict C9. I think this is like the kind of the setup where C9 comes in and continues to improve week after week. I'm curious to see it though. I want to see if IMT Academy has been playing some interesting jungle picks. I wonder if those make it.
If anyone had told me at the start of the summer split that this would be a contentious matchup when it came to predictions, I would have called them crazy. But I love
Better
that
summer
we're here.
split record.
That's what I'm saying. I love that we're here and in this timeline. We're going to a break. When we come back, it's Cloud9 versus Immortals hitting your screens. We'll see you here.
They've got to get the Mountain Drake here if they want to have any chance of being able to salvage this game, but no! It's stolen away at the last moment with a beautiful smite to end this game. GG, well played!
Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS. We have been going strong for 3 games, and guess what? We got 2 more for you.
Let's go.
Coming up next, we got Immortals and Cloud9 going head-to-head in what hopefully is a very entertaining game. Last game, Dignitas showed us how they could flex the muscles. I want to see more here in this next one. But of course, we got something else to get to before that. The LCS is continuing our work with the White House to spread the good word of the COVID-19 vaccine. It even rhymes. That's how good it is. If you're here in the US of A, you can check out those resources on your screen to get yourself a vaccine for free. Every single day here in the LCS, hundreds of seats go without butts.
Sad.
Seats that previously were incredibly acclimated to the feeling of fresh butts every weekend. But now, they've gone from fresh butts to no butts, and that is just unacceptable. Get some butts back in them seats, get some vaccines, and bring us back to normal. Hell yeah.
That was a powerful message, Cap.
I do what I can.
Every time I turn to the right,
It hurts. They're lonely.
I can't look at it.
They're lonely.
Yes, they are.
We're going to get them unlonely here very soon with your help. Thank you.
More
Anyway,
butts.
now
Okay.
it's time for some Champ Select. We got to get ourselves back into this game. I want to see what Immortals and Cloud9 got cooking up here. Both of these teams got a little bit of something to prove right now, I think.
Yes, they do. Do not let the score in front of you, change your opinion on this one. The desk was right when they were split. Last time IMT went up against Cloud9, first of all, the Renekton is a right band because it was Perks' Renekton the last time they played out. Didn't look too good. It was going up against Immortals, and it was Insanity that had really a standout performance, got himself an MVP, what was actually just a very standard win. It wasn't a surprising one in the sense of how they got it. It wasn't just like off of one team fight. It was a consistent play, smart play from IMT that got it. So has to be C9 that levels up to take IMT down.
Okay, draft is already underway, and we have a lot of very strong champions taken off the table. Renekton, Set, Viego banned out by Cloud9, Xin Quinn, and who will be our third one here for Immortals? Thresh banned out.
I expect more Thresh bans. We just don't get too much. Just a very safe option, especially if Aphelios is on the field. All these things are just such great front-to-back champions, but this is going to be the lock-in. The Akali, such a great flex pick for Fudge and Perks. You want to see Perks on Playmaker, so that's going to be the lock-in.
I always want to see Perks on something that gives him autonomy, on something that gives him the ability to decide when, where, and how he wants to play the game. Don't put him on Victor.
Don't do it.
Honestly, right now, I don't want to see anybody playing Victor. If you're sitting there in solo queue with the LCS on your second monitor right now and you're hovering Victor, don't do it. Pick Akali instead. She's way better.
There we go.
And we also got the Rumble picked up. Now remember, Rumble did get some nerfs here in 11.13. Longer cooldown on Scrap Shield, lower movement speed bonus. So it's going to affect like that level 1 in particular, making that more difficult. Nocturne's very strong. New Stride Breaker feels great if you are Nocturne, man.
Feels good. And that's how Insanity actually got the win the last time they went up against Cloud9. It was off the back of his Nocturne play. I think he's a great Nocturne player, sees angles in which, some other people don't. And on top of that, IMT has really been good at being able to all in on fights at the same time. The team fighting has been great. When Xerxes was on his Xin Zhao, in the Scuttle fight on the top side of the map. It was Rift Herald, actually, a Rift Herald fight on the top side of the map. They all win at the same time. It's great to see this team have really a great understanding of what each other really want within the game. So I like to see the Nocturne pick. It has a good angle here. Also great setup with the Nautilus added for the Rumble pick.
Super good stuff. I like what we're seeing in the first half of the draft out of both teams, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of playmaking here on both sides. Nocturne and Nautilus, both very good at doing that. Akali can pick out, isolate targets, and just 100-0 them. And then you have Kalista, one of the best playmaking AD carries when combined with the right supports. And we all know what Lee Sin does.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what happened in the previous game, where you're having a very volatile mid-jungle, and I'm expecting the Akali to be mid, but at the end of the day, it just kind of depends where Akali and Lee Sin are going.
Yeah.
But Fudge has been probably the most impressive Lee Sin top laner in the LCS. Even though the wins aren't coming his way, he's been a consistent performer, and he's going to force people to really respect it soon enough and to ban it.
So I like the Alistar ban coming out from Immortals here. Vulcan has had incredible Alistar performances in the past. They don't want to allow him to play that. The Taric ban also super good against a comp that just wants to dump everything into a team fight. Cosmic Radiance says, I don't care about Equalizer. I don't care about Nautilus. I don't care about Nocturne. You can just deny all of that. So I'm liking both these support bans here. Double 80 carry bans coming out from Cloud9 as Varus and Tristana are removed, and Immortals hovers the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, very rarely you get 80 carries being held until 4-5, and Raze is the type of player that does have a larger champion pool. He is going to still go towards the old Kai'Sa, but he, remember last split, went towards the Draven, was largely successful on that one in his past. But yeah, I don't like it. I think the fact that Varus and Tristana, which are good answers into the Kalista, makes Kalista feel now more safe in this lane, has a counter pick towards the Nautilus as well.
Yeah.
Expecting, looking through this, a Leona is a pretty solid one. Anything that can really jump in if they feel confident. Oh yeah, Alistar was banned. So Leona I would love that pick as an answer here for IMT.
Oh,
there it
Galio
is.
instead. Okay, this is also one of the classics there with Kalista.
Yeah, a classic. The Galio, I think, supports the rest of the composition. The Diana that's going in, throwing the Galio ultimate on top of that. Akali as well. If she just jumps in, the best thing about Akali is she's just kind of like stick into a fight, wait a little bit long, wait for the Galio to kind of be involved as well. So the team fight's looking great from C9. Let's see what the last pick is for IMT.
All right, Immortals. What's it going to be? Okay, Lucian locked in here. So that'll be a mid lane Lucian. How do we feel about this one, Raz?
Mid lane Lucian or the top lane Lucian. Either way,
true,
I
true.
think it's going to chase the matchup versus Akali. I think that's the angle. I would like the Nocturne to match the Lee Sin lane, and I would like the Lee Sin to match the Akali lane. This is one of those games where really calling which lane, which player is going up against which, or like which champions, it really does come down to a human swap. I think that if Revenge sees an option where it's okay, the Akali's going mid, just send him mid. That's what I would like to see. But overall, for IMT, they're just going to get priority in their solo lanes. That's what they're focusing on.
And of course, you've got to be careful, though. We know that Lucian versus Akali early on, yes, it's very favorable for Lucian. You can just harass her for free, stay out of the range of her 5-point strike, easy stuff. Once Akali gets some levels, once that E starts really stinging, then you've got to be very careful with just how aggressively you play, because one misstep and a player like Perks can punish.
And it's just solidified. It's going to be Revenge on Lucian. And he's been, I think, great on carries. We've seen what he was done in the past in Spring Split, the Aurelia pick. I know last week was pretty damn unlucky going on the Aurelia and going up against basically a 2-0 Gnar after the blue buff area team fight. That one sucked, and he still was still getting advantages in his own lane. So I just love seeing Revenge on carries, and he's going to be able to try the Lucian now.
All right, here we go. Cloud9 versus Immortals, game number 4 of the day here in Rivals Week. I'm not calling it Rivalry Week because that is a tongue twister, and I will accidentally say uwu words.
Rivalry Week.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm going to call it Rivals Week because that doesn't have the same tongue twistingness that will cause me to say that. Let's get back into the Rift instead as we've got everybody taking their places. We will see if the Lucian tries to track the Akali as you are predicting, or if they just YOLO it and send Nocturne against her instead.
Yeah, either way, Nocturne's going to be fine. He's going to be good going up against the Akali. Just has inbuilt DPS. That the Akali is going to be underneath her turret anyways. So the only question is going to be largely around topside. Lee Sin and Diana versus the Rumble and Lucian doesn't sound too good for the Rumble. In general, Rumble is just going to want to not be a part of these early fights.
Well, let's see how Immortals want to play around this jungle matchup here as well. We know that Diana can be incredibly powerful, especially once she has that ultimate. As you already pointed out, there's so much good follow-up for a proper Diana engage, jumping into multiple players, pulling everybody in there with the ulti. So later on, I think these team fights are going to be very spicy, very fun.
I think it's a great comp for what IMT is throwing their way, because very short range, the Kai'Sa, Nocturne, essentially anytime the Diana finds an angle, it's going to be really difficult for IMT to walk away from it. Go for it.
I like how Cloud9 waited. You saw how Perks was just in the river, allowing Insanity to walk into lane first because they wanted the Akali to dodge the Lucian lane early on.
Yes.
Cloud9 got what they wanted here.
Yeah, for Akali, for sure, if she's going up against that Lucian lane, it's just so tough because you can't actually chunk the Akali to a certain point where mid lane dive is doable. So definitely didn't want to deal with that human swap. It's still going to be pretty difficult going up against the Nocturne just for the idea of getting mid push. It's never going to be an option for the Akali in either of these matchups. At least in this case, it's going to be most safe. She has pots, and of course Doran's shield. So she's going to be able to take a lot of the harass.
Yep, and up here in topside, Fudge is having the I'm laning against Lucian experience. This
feels
is
good.
Pretty much what it feels like. You just get shot over and over and over again while he farms minions, and you get to wish that you were doing the same. Revenge will maintain control over this lane here for a while. We'll see if junglers have anything to say about that. They are pathing towards opposite directions, though, and this chicken camp was warded very early after Insanity shoved in just the very first wave.
Really well done, and it gives this a lot of information for Revenge. Now he can basically just chip Fudge underneath turret just whenever he feels like it.
Oh,
knowing
complete
that
disrespect.
Exactly. Yeah. Knowing that Diana is just pathing straight towards bot side. Raze does have to watch out, though. If he gets into dive range, it's going to be an easy one for the Kalista and Galio, including Blabber. So just trying to chug potions, get to a position where he's not going to get chunked once again. But yeah, now Revenge just runs this lane.
Yep, and remember that this is also here in 11.13. There were some nerfs to the base damage on Lee Sin's E. This is one of the things that made him viable as a solo laner compared to just a jungler, having the ability to shove out waves and control the tempo with that skill. So a little bit less wave control there for him, especially in a matchup that's already going to be Lucian favored, at least early on. Means that Fudge will get very, very used to the scenery underneath this turret, my friend.
Very true. And even with that nerf, I don't think it changed too much. It does make it a little bit harder, but his lane state's always going to be in this position.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see what Blabber's decision-making is going to be, right? If he does find an easy way in for a dive bot lane, sure. But at some point, he's going to have to free up either Perks or Fudge in either of these lanes. It's going to be really hard to ever find a way to play this game out. If you are accepting the fact that Fudge and Perks are just going to be harassed underneath third, of course, both have TP, so they're going to be in a fine position at some point. But I'm expecting Diana to come topside, look for a scrap on a Lucian. And if Lucian falls behind, yeah, he's going to have a hard rest of the game.
Well, Blabber has gone back, completed his first shop of the game, has the Dark Seal plus Amplifying Tome, so some extra AP to make sure those ganks sting, and he is pathing towards that top side. We'll see if he wants to go all the way up to the lane. You can see a ping coming out on the enemy Gromp camp from Immortals, getting an accurate read on where Blabber is pathing.
Early game planning from Immortals has just been phenomenal so far. And getting another ward just in case, right? Just because, in the end of the day, Diana knows that they know that she's on Gromp. So if she tries to, like, duck bot side, expecting, hey, you know what, she's going to respect me now, right? Well, there's another ward there, TP coming through.
Speaking of respect, Raze is having to run all the way away as the teleport comes in from Perks trying to make a move. It does not work for the kill, but they get 3 summoner spells out of it at the cost of 3 of their own.
All right, it looks like they're trying to force Akali to go the long way here or face some pain.
Oh, Perks face checking there. Xerxes does a lot of damage with that overheated flame spitter. Perks still continuing to retreat backwards. That Raptor camp will be stolen away by Immortals, as there is the smite coming through. Immortals playing this aggressive early. I like this look, Rad.
I love it. And it's just, it's step by step. Like I said in the previous game, they knew that Akali after that TP was going to want to go back mid lane, wants to deny the entire wave, at least make the attempt, pay for what she did bot side. And so just looks to punish her. Now she doesn't have flash. It's going to make this lane a lot harder, a lot easier, at least for Insanity.
And Insanity will just keep shoving in those waves again and again and again. Nocturne's natural pushing ability between Dustbringer and Umbral Blades just eviscerates the wave.
And this is why this changes the conversation of like an Immortals versus C9. It's C9 that has been struggling recently, and it's Immortals that have been stringing along some impressive victories in Summer Split. And have been doing it in a way that isn't like, oh, scrappy come from behind like we saw from Dignitas in the previous split, right? It's ways that it goes to show what is impressive coaching, that when I look at this team, I may not find like a superstar player. You can say that Xerxes has gotten to that point, was that player when he's in the LEC, but they are well coached.
Oh my goodness, they are going in all the way, and Cloud9 puts the money on Sven.
And well cooked. just dead. Yeah, that's rough. And I feel like that's going to turn into something a little bit more. Perks.
Okay. Perks gets hit by the fear there. Chasing after Insanity. Nice use of the spell shield there to block the 5-point strike. Cloud9, though, after the back of that kill, that just means they know they got man advantage here on the bottom half of the map. They're going after the Drake. Xerxes nearby, but it will not matter. Blabber's got the dragon 7 minutes in.
Yeah, bought enough time, was able to get out just in, before Immortals were able to set up something. Remember, Nocturne does have ultimate. But just taking a look at this, just disrespect coming in from the Nautilus, trying to figure out what his pathing was here. Didn't get to see too much. Oh, he was just trying to take the disrespectful way. Of course, you're going to get stun lock. Just so close to being able to take the blast cone, too. Yeah, didn't think he was in kill range.
You saw the anchor start to move. He shrugs his shoulder to throw it off. Unfortunately, that's a big old heavy thing right there. A faster auto attack animation, and he might have even gotten away. I'm not quite sure, but either way, that's a whole nother reality. In this reality, he got first blooded, and Cloud9 is happy about it. But the thing that I'm immediately drawn to here now, Raz.
Okay, give it to me.
They have first blood plus assist money. That is 600 gold worth of value. The score's even between the teams, which just shows those passive advantages that Immortals are building throughout all the different lanes by farming well.
Yeah, and that just says a lot to what Revenge and Insanity were able to do with great, at least for Revenge, great warding. Knowing that Blabber was pathing back bot side because of the ward that he placed down, so he's just continuously just chipping out towards the Lucian. That being said, Lucian's not too far behind. This big wave is going to hit Lucian, but is still doing well considering the matchup. But the one thing I am scared about is the fact that you mentioned Sven having that one kill, now starting to get the lead that he was having in the bot side, getting the early dragon as well, and the next one is going to be Cloud, so it is going to be an influential soul.
Yeah.
So Cloud9 does have a pretty clear win condition that Immortals have to be aware of.
A powerful defensive tool, no matter which one of the two, Ocean or Mountain Soul, shows up. Very, very scary stuff. And also, both of those souls complicate the map, too. Remember, Ocean Soul means we're going to have a lot more brush for champions like Akali and Diana and Nocturne to play around, right? Mountain Soul means you're going to have more walls for those isolated targets or big rumble ultis. So either way, this will be a spicy one, as Blabber will pick up another Scuttle Crab here for his team. Xerxes not concerned with those small potatoes, though. He wants the big one, and he's going after the Rift Herald.
I think he's going to have to walk away from this.
Yeah, Fudge is here to stop him. It's not going to work.
Yeah, this is great if you know that the enemy team doesn't have vision. You know, bot lane is becoming hard now for Immortals, so they don't have control there. It's going to be Vulcan that gets first push. Vulcan was already seen on mid lane on that path up, so like Xerxes was like, oh damn, I guess they have a ward. I have to kind of push this to the side. And it's going to be C9 that have the first touch on this one. Let's see if Xerxes goes for it again. It would be really risky for him to do that.
Well, for now, he'll just wait, see if maybe Cloud9 try to force something. He's there to find the counterplay. Back here in mid lane, Perkz doing a great job staying even in CS with Insanity, despite the fact that he's been the one underneath the turret. He's been the one having that extra pressure to make sure you don't miss the CS. He's navigated it wonderfully here on the Akali, and he's making sure he'll be in a great spot come the mid game to be the hero in those fights.
Exactly. It benefits C9 that action has not been happening, that the TPs have been used defensively to get back into lane and just farm up. So for Fudge, who's been, as I said, the best Lee Sin player in the LCS so far, he's been spectacular. He's going to be team fight ready. Same there goes for the Perkz. And so the fact that really it hasn't culminated into a dive from IMT is only going to make it easier and easier for C9 as the game goes on.
Cloud9 with that 700 gold lead now, starting to build that up, nullify some of the leads that Immortals was building with their own farm here. Perkz finds the E onto just a minion, so we're not going to see too much excitement here in mid lane as he just decides to walk it off. Neither one of them have anything to fight for. Nobody really has a whole lot to fight for right now. The Rift Herald is alive, but we don't see a whole lot of bodies around there, and the Dragon is still down for another 70 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, Galio, Vulcan has been sitting in that bush primarily for so long that Xerxes never felt comfortable to be on top of Rift Herald. If he doesn't see where the support's going to be, that's just a straight int for him to be doing that against a semi-global champion. And so the two control wars that they have on both sides of mid lane has made it very easy for Perkz to play this lane out, not being concerned of either gank coming in from Xerxes, just the long range Rumble ultimate that comes by and helps out the Nocturne, or even just from Destiny. Destiny has been locked down towards the bot lane. He hasn't been able to do anything because of what's been happening in the matchup and because of the wards.
So we're spending a lot of time talking about how Cloud9 is getting to play the game they want to play nice and early with those defensive TPs and whatnot, but now we might just have a full-blown fight here over the Rift Herald. Cloud9 are just putting the TY for leash in there. They're ready to go, but have they gone too far? The damage continues pouring through, and Perkz will barely survive. Insanity coming in from behind, looking for the kill onto Blabber. Finds the fear. Blabber tries to get back out, but that ain't happening. Xerxes nearly killed off, but nearly's not close enough, and Immortals get a 1-for-0.
I guess at least they got a Rift Trail, but that was a botched fight from C9. They had everything there for a fight to go for it, so they felt hungry.
Yeah.
Diving straight into the tri-bush. I know we'll probably get a second look at it, but it felt like they were just on different pages. Some of them want to actually just dive straight deep on towards it. Taking a look at this one more time, yeah, it seemed like, remember, Kaisa is taking the long way back into the lane. They know that the AD carry is not going to be there, just having full vision there. Perkz goes in, gets locked down from the Nautilus, has to instantly get out. So this was a defensive Galio ultimate. It was all based off the fact that Akali thought she had a good play, good vision on it, instantly gets locked down by Destiny, and it turns into Blabber dying.
And this looked a little scary there for a moment for Xerxes. Got taken down to 100 HP by the Diana damage, but still stayed alive. And now back here in top lane, Fudge level 10 versus Revenge, the same here on the Lucian. Has opted for the Gale Force, extra playmaking, extra dodging, extra just mobility.
Yes.
And that's the kind of thing that I like to see. It lets you make some really stylish moves here in some of these fights.
Especially if you're going up against a Diana, which is just front-loaded on her, just her dash in, right? Like that front-loaded burst that she has, pretty meaningful. So you're just kind of using that defensively in team fights. I think that's going to be pretty important, especially since your only front line is the Nautilus. So it's something that IMT is recognizing here.
Nice 3 plates coming out of the charge there from Shelly. Right before the plates are about to fall, Cloud9's making sure they're getting the money. They'll pick up their second Drake of the game now as well, and it's Ocean Soul for this game, right?
There it is. And I like that for C9 because these are going to be long, drawn-out fights. They have Galio, they have Diana and Lee Sin. Chunkier members on their team that wants to play more drawn-out fights in comparison to IMT. I mean, look at IMT's comp. I mean, they have basically double range 80 carries with Lucian and the Kaisa that really live and die by Nautilus. If the Nautilus dies, you got no space to auto-attack. You really can't do much against what is basically double assassin with a Callista. So I think Ocean definitely benefits C9 here.
Okay, back up here in the top lane. Everything's just pretty standard. Fudge recognizes the role he has to play, right?
True.
Sit back, let Lucian shove out the wave, respond to that. So here's what I'm going to ask you, Raz.
Hit me.
We're talking about, and I got to this point a little bit earlier before the Herald, but then we got interrupted. If Cloud9's been having the game go the way they want it to go here for the first 14.5 minutes, what do we need to see from Immortals before the 20-minute mark to put the ball in their own court?
Well, you're seeing the steps right now with the vision that they're putting towards mid to top lane. I want to see that turn into an actual dive. Fudge has been underneath his turret for a good while, unthreatened. I know right now he's full HP, so it's going to be difficult. You need to be able to put in some work if you're Revenge to get him low, like you did in the early portions of the laning phase.
Right.
But like, sure, you're getting laning advantages, very small ones, but like when you're chipping them down, you do want to convert it into something more. So I think C9 has been doing a great job stopping that, but IMT need to be making active efforts like they are right now to look for it.
Okay, Perkz is the one pushed up, but remember, man, it's Akali. She's so hard to gank when she's got the dashes and got the smoke. They might just have the angle. Perkz is saying, all right, the only way in might just be to take one of them with me. Dredgeline's not going to find the target, but Cloud9's got the backup. There's Perkz, my friends, and Immortals will be cut to ribbons as they have no answer for the Cloud9 cavalry.
Perfect execution, man. Lucian was chunked out right from the outset. And so Perkz was confident. Galio was already in the topside river, knew that backup was coming, and made it stylish too. Huge play from C9, and now this is just them steamrolling that lead.
And that's why we say we love to see Perkz on Playmaker.
Yeah.
He has the ability to assess the situation and to make sure he's walking away. Let's take another look here at the Honda performance play.
There we go. I mean, you see 3 members, of course, of IMT looking for the play, but if you look at the river, that is 3 members of Cloud9 willing and waiting. The Shroud's going to buy time for Perkz. The Galio Ultimate's going to make it easy. And it's just...
Pop!
Just destroyed that weasel. Like, destroyed him right there. And so, like, 2 people get knocked up, and it makes it easier for the rest of Cloud9 to be able to secure that as well.
And they even get the stopwatch as sort of a buy 3, get a bonus one for no extra reason, just because that's such a useful tool. Because that thing is one time only, it's gone. And there's your damage dealt in the last team fight.
Yep.
Akali's pretty good.
Doing well as Fudge is sipping that pina colada in the bot lane saying, you don't need
He's just
me, man.
hanging out. saying, hell yeah, top diff. We're chilling.
Using his F keys to see some dubs.
Hey, he's 0-0-0. The other top laner is 0-1-0. Which one's doing better?
The 0-0-0.
Yeah. Fudge is cruising this game. He's now dealing with Insanity in the side lane 1v1 matchup, while you got Perks up there against Revenge. And I mentioned this at the very start of Champ Select, and I'm going to mention it again. Remember that even though Lucian feels strong in these bullying side lane matchups, one Shuriken flip hits him,
It's donezo.
it's done.
Yes. And I think this is actually, I forgot to even, mention it. This is a perfect meta for C9 now. For a while now, having to play real mages in the jungle, specifically Rumble, things that don't give you that mobility, that kind of active pressure in the early portions of the game. Blabber's back on those picks now. And looking towards mid lane, they're recognizing, as you said it in the very early in the portion of the game. Oh, looking for this dive.
Holy
though.
moly, man. Vulcan is bloodthirsty. They will not get the kill there. Raze just sort of walks it off. He has killer instinct to help, but that was
disheveled at worst. Raze is like, okay, what the hell was that? You just lost your flash.
Hey, what? Okay, maybe a little bit audacious
True.
there from Vulcan, but at least they're trying to continue snowballing this further. They're going to take down the first turret of the game here in the top lane. Over 3,000 gold lead now. They're going for Rift Herald #2, and as soon as they get done with it, the Dragon is going to be spawning as well.
And to answer your earlier questions of the play for IMT, they tried for it, it failed. The next attempt, probably going to fail as well. Double stopwatch there for CN9 on both Blabber and Perks, their playmakers. Next Dragon fight's coming up. It's going to be for Soul Point. IMT should probably, they're in position for this fight, but I don't think it's going to look good.
Second Shelly has been summoned up here in mid lane, getting ready to charge. I don't think she has enough to just kill it outright. No. So the headbutt comes through, but the turret survives with 10% HP. Blabber doing what he can to check these brushes with abilities, making sure that they're not accidentally face-checking, throwing this away. This is really big if Cloud9 gets it. Immortals then have to answer every Drake thereafter for the rest of the game. Otherwise, you just give away the soul. Perks goes over the wall.
Oh, they don't
He's
see him.
positioned in the brush, but Fudge is going to get caught. Fudge! What the hell was that? Perks has to jump back out of the pit. Okay, no more Soul Point.
All right. It is what it is, guys. Fudge was looking for a flank, and I loved it. But, of course, IMT sees it, instantly goes for a kill there. Had no idea that Perks was even setting up for a follow-up.
That was incredibly unfortunate for the side of Cloud9, but man, that is just what the doctor ordered for Immortals.
True.
They end up getting a get out of team fight free card right when they needed to have one to guarantee that their opponents aren't on that soul point already. But uh-oh, Revenge, you're in a Kali range, buddy, but they're looking to turn it around. Maybe. No, not quite.
Yeah, I don't know what's on beyond the horizon there. So didn't want to just commit as a Nocturne when you know your team's just coming out of base. So smart decision overall, but IMT needs to find a play. They're just 2K behind, so it's not that large. It is still fine. They don't need to feel desperate, but you're right. The last play was a blessing. Free mid lane turret there for C9. Okay.
Oh! What did we have happen down here in the bottom lane? We'll have to get a replay there in a moment because honestly, Revenge is looking pretty good. Almost full HP still. Looks like Perks tried to style on him and got a little bit overconfident.
Yeah. Double flash, so no one flashed out of this one. Perks just didn't see it coming. Let's see what did it to him.
Oh, he's just trying to push up the wave. The culling.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Gale Force to shoot him through the smoke.
Yep. Nice execute with the Gale Force there, but yeah, Revenge just saw it. Akali didn't think that. Akali must have believed that the Revenge had based at this point. It's been there for so long by now.
He's thinking, all right, he's back, he's shopping, he wants to reset, he doesn't want to stay here in this lane with me.
Yep.
But he does.
Yes, he does.
But he does, my friends. And that will be Perks' first death of the game here. 1-1-2 now, but he's got the Zonias, so next time it will be more difficult. It's 3 minutes before we get the next Dragon to spawn. Baron is live on the table, but at only 21 minutes in, I don't think anybody's forcing that one anytime soon. Lots of champions across both squads starting to hit those second item power spike thresholds as they're either at the item or very close.
Not much here to fight for, so I don't think much will happen around this area. You can kind of not even look at the vision that you have here secured for a little bit. Mid lane is secured there from C9, so Fudge is doing a great job just saying, okay, I don't need to be here. You guys need to watch out for both mid and top lane. In fact, it's Nocturne that's recognizing that he could get dove from what is just, a stranglehold happening in his red side jungle. So overall, liking this here from C9, a great recovery from what just happened.
And Perks will just continue shoving out these side waves, using the mobility to just get out through the safest possible avenue and make sure that he doesn't get picked off. We know how difficult it is to make that collapse on him. We saw it earlier when Immortals went in for the 3v1, and all of a sudden he just gets a kill and walks away. His backup arrives. So Immortals must know whenever they go after him, they've got to be confident. They've got to come after him with both barrels blazing. But right now, man, Cloud9 sitting on 2 Zhonya's hourglasses feels really good for both of those assassins to dive in there, start things off, throw their own safety to the wind because they have a way out.
Yeah, with the Renans there as well with Zen, I mean, they're team fight ready. That's why Blue Trinket being chucked in there from Raze into towards the Baron pit, because that's just going to be the name of game for a little bit until the Dragon comes up. You just don't want C9 having like an iota of a second or something there alone with the objective, because you can just go for it. They don't necessarily have much damage outside of the Callista kind of to deal damage to the Baron itself. It is pretty low damage from their composition. But it's something that you still have to be aware of, and the goal for C9 could just be to lure IMT in for a team fight.
Yeah, exactly. Bait them in, catch them off guard, and then just beat them up and take the Baron after.
Yep.
Right? You don't have to worry about time when everybody on the enemy team is dead. Now, Fudge will again be put in a defensive position, and that's just kind of the story of Fudge here this game. The one sort of team fight interaction we saw him have was getting picked off when he tried to go for a flank. Other than that, his job has just been answer whoever the primary split pusher is, clear the wave, don't lose anything more than we have to.
Yeah, and he's in a good position anyways if a fight was to, or like a setup was to happen around the objective and Dragon, right? He wants to be in a flank. I know the last one didn't pan out well at all, but like that's still a position he wants to be in. They're coming in front to back as a team. They're going to get swept by IMT in a fight. That's going to be, you know, ideal situations for Raze and Revenge to play that with the Rumble as well. But if you challenge their positioning as a unit, great thing. So let's see what ends up happening here. They're going to be fighting for mid prio.
Cloud9, they've got 2 players showing. Destiny will be the first to walk out. Revenge right behind him. Xerxes has still not shown himself. Vulcan again with the flash, trying to force something out here, but it's Fudge with a good kick. That might just seal Destiny's fate. He tries to turn it around here with the ulti back onto the enemy AD carry, but it will not work. Now they're going to try to find the kill on Perks. If he dies here, that's not a very good sign for Cloud9, but instead, here comes reinforcements yet again. Galio over the top means the mid laner survives for now. Culling going through. Blabber's coming in here with the ulti now, and Immortals are in a very, very bad place. Xerxes killed off next, and Insanity and Revenge are the only 2 men standing as Cloud9, full squad alive, heads over to Baron.
Hey, IMT may think that they can walk in further after one ultimate is used, but they just have way more in the tank. Cloud9 with the Callista ultimate to get in there. But it all was made possible by the FUD factor. Fudge was sick with that kick on towards the Nautilus that made it so much easier for them to find an angle versus IMT. So this may be a Dragon for Immortals, fine. That's their second Dragon. But that is a huge 3 kills being picked up and a Baron solidified for Cloud9.
And now we've got 3 minutes here with a Red Bull Baron buff for Cloud9 to continue to build this already impressive 6,000 gold lead. They still have all 3 tier 2 turrets standing to take from the side of Immortals. Cloud9's gold lead may very well balloon into something even crazier here. Let's take another look at the fight. Vulcan went a little crazy here,
yeah,
but then his Fudge showing up.
Boom. Instant kick straight on towards Destiny. Really well done to get the kill immediately. So the return fight, they thought they can try and get a pick on towards Akali. Double protected not only the Shroud, but also Zhonya's just in case the AoE was strong enough, but he was able to now turn that one back on towards them. And sure, you use a lot of tools if you're Cloud9, but you know, when a fight happens for so long, you tend to forget they still have way more in the tank. Diana ultimate, Callista ultimate. It's one of those things where Immortals were just in the fight for so long, lose Nautilus. They knew that they were going to lose an objective off of that one. They didn't want to lose Soul Point. They didn't want to lose a Baron off that.
Damage dealt in the last fight. Blabber, the one top in the charts. Nearly 3,000 damage done by his Diana, as Fudge was the second man there in the charts. A little bit over 2,000 for him. Everybody else, both your Callista and your Akali, chilling under 1,000. They didn't even have to do all the work. It was done for them. Cloud9 will make quick work of that first inhibitor turret, and inhibitor number 1 will fall in the bottom lane.
This is looking efficient for Cloud9. They were pushing mid at the same time. Perks was in there, but you know, he's basing, but he does have TP. I think the idea was to try to go for inner turret as well, but Raze has already just obliterated the wave on that one. So good job for him to just slow the pace of that Baron push down. But a huge turn in this game. It has been leaning towards Cloud9 for a long while now, but that was a well-coordinated fight from them to be able to now just put it in their control completely.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the move is for Immortals at this point in time, but it just feels like you're praying for a mistake.
You are.
At this point in the game.
Because it's just a hard to execute composition. If you have double AD carry, sure, a Nocturne and Rumble is there, so there is a little bit of setup. But if you just have one front line in your support, then you really need that support to actually, do well within the lane and be freed up. But if it's in a bad matchup, locked into that laning phase, and of course, like the early fights didn't really pan out too well, then yeah, you have a pretty poor support that's supposed to be your sole tank, and it's not going to work out.
All right, Cloud9, only 20 seconds left on that Baron, plus 2,500 here so far for the Baron power play. So they'll take down the tier 2 there in the mid lane. They'll try to shove this wave up a little bit further. It's not like they'll get to do a lot of work onto this tier 3 turret in mid with the Baron expiring here in about 5 seconds. Perkz is still there in the top lane, continuing to split push, continuing to get that solo EXP. Is level 16 along with Revenge, both Insanity and Fudge slightly behind at 15.
They should be able to get this inhibitor turret mid because they're, getting the push alongside bot wave. It's double super minion as well, so Lucian for sure is going to be there for quite some time. That means that they can escort the mid lane wave. If they wanted to do it as a team, they could. But they're playing by the book, and they're now going to go for the top lane inner turret instead.
Okay, Vulcan has to Justice Punch his way away. That was not how many people he wanted to walk into. The wave has arrived. Equalizer used just to try to get rid of this minion wave. But with the cannon being there, it'll survive long enough for Sven to get some auto attacks down onto the tier 2. That's below half HP now. 80 seconds until the dragon spawns. Fudge will continue applying pressure in the mid lane. The super minions doing the same thing here in bottom. Cloud9 is making sure they are pressuring every point.
Yeah. And you know what? The Rumble ultimate, really well done to slow the pace for Cloud9, so it may not be an inhibitor turret just yet. And the Rumble ultimate will be there for the next dragon. If they want to actually fight for Soul Point, it's a low enough cooldown. It's already 3/4, very close to the way there. So they're going to be in a fine spot now. But Void Stab being picked up from Blabber, especially after the last fight where he just obliterated the back line, it's going to be difficult.
I'm trying to figure out what the angle is, what the focus is here for Immortals to win a team fight. But when you look at double Zhonya's Hourglass, and then Asterix on Lee, and then a Guardian Angel on Callista, who do you even focus? In a fair fight, even if you started off on your terms, you just can't kill him fast enough.
It would have to be the Galio. And the only way you do it, we've seen these long, drawn-out fights. Akali goes in, Galio ultimate follows. He's going to try and get out. It's going to be a long, extended fight, and that's always going to still benefit Cloud9. So you really are looking for a Hail Mary pick from the Nautilus.
Ooh, new item built by Fudge as well. Anathema's Chains. Remember, this is the one, gives you a lot of health, allows you to mark one opponent that you will take greatly reduced damage from as your nemesis. So Fudge purchasing that item. I'm not sure who he has marked.
There is an in-game indicator. I may not have put it. It is actually on cooldown. We'll have to see it at some point.
We'll see. We'll see once we can figure that out, hopefully.
Yeah,
and
but also the reduced tenacity, 20% of tenacity, or at least just 20. Yeah, it's really helpful. With how much CC lockdown they have on their team, it's going to be pretty damn easy for him to be in a fight, stick in a fight.
And Fudge will now be the one sent down to the Drake, so he'll pick this one up for his team. This will be the first Ocean Drake Cloud9 has got. After they got those first 2 Drakes early on in the game, they had the tragedy there with Fudge's pincer attack that lost them the 3rd, and then they traded the 4th for the Baron, which, hey, great trade, do that all the time. But now they are finally on that Soul Point. I'm not going to lie to you, though, buddy, with Baron about to spawn here in 10 seconds, I don't even think we're going to get to 5 minutes from now.
Yeah, and I mean, they're playing around their waves really well. Even with the Rumble ultimate being used, the C9 can just chain dive if they get a big enough wave off of cannon. So they're going to try and get everything set up right now. Red buff being picked up by Sven. I think the best call is going to be around Baron. They already have Scuttle Crab, Control Wars lined up. Baiting IMT in is going to be the ticket into this game.
Okay, Cloud9 in the enemy jungle, sweeping out for some vision, trying to see if Immortals has any sort of a sanctuary here in their own half of the map. Perkz will continue, trying to hit the last little bit of that control ward, take it out if he can. Takes a little bit of damage trying to do so, so Vulcan just steps up. He doesn't mind losing a little bit of HP there, has the magic shield anyway. And with control over this red side jungle, C9 is just going to go ahead, start up the Baron. Honestly, Sven and Blabber can duo it rather easily.
Yes, they can. It should just be easy. Blue Trinket being pushed out. They still have one more Blue Trinket, but it's going to be from the Lucian, who's now just TPing mid lane. They're going to have to fight now without the Lucian if they want to get in the hand of this Baron.
Immortals knows they can't just give this away. You got to go for the YOLO, go for the 50-50, but it is not so. They've got the engage coming out from Destiny. A lot of damage down to Vulcan. They'll blow him up immediately, but now what else can they find? Revenge being chased down. Perks going in, picking up one, having to kite around here a little bit. Oh my goodness! A triple kill, a quadra kill for the mid laner from Cloud9, and it's all over.
Perks just straight ults through 4 people and chunked them out. It was looking good for IMT for a little bit there. The damage from the Diana wasn't impacted. I thought they did a great job being able to isolate her and get her dead. Vulcan died at the beginning of the fight, so it was looking a little dicey. The best case scenario was being met for IMT, but Perks hammers it down.
Easily done for Cloud9. The death timers are long enough. They will march the minion wave in. They will take down the Nexus turrets. They will take down Immortals. And they will do it looking pretty darn good, Mr. Raz.
Yes, it is, and that's Cloud9 making a march right back to what they believe is their rightful place at first place. They won it, Flowers. And that was a damn good game to make a statement for the 100 Thieves and the TSMs of the world.
Exactly, and you got to see Perks on a champion that he just got to express himself with. The outplay in the top lane when they came to collapse on him in the 3v1. His ability to constantly make sure that he was getting through a laning phase that could have been more difficult if he didn't know how to properly manage it, always being stuck underneath the turret. Honestly, I just thought the Akali was on point the whole game.
Yes, and I think a lot of faith in the team as well. The setup that they had, we're always going to talk about that top lane play, the 3-man play, the IMT made for his life. But the team was there. That was, their strong side of the map. So, like, those are the types of things I wanted to see from Cloud9, and you got to see them. It was just intelligent for a good while there. So this is them making that march.
Yeah, it felt like the gold just steadily climbed all the way through the game. Never felt like we really had a moment where we're saying, okay, Immortals is coming back here. We did have a moment of reprieve, a moment where Immortals was able to take a breath, where they got the pick onto Fudge and were able to stop the soul stacking. But after that happened, it was just back to business as usual. Cloud9 continued moving forward, continued taking over the game, and then it just got to the point where, hey, they're too strong.
And that's the thing, it's the recovery that, you're right, that the mess up around Rift Herald as well, as another one, not being on the same page and all these things. But then when that happened, they took a step back, went back, the correct lane allocations were made from Cloud9.
Yeah.
And I just thought that they played fights well after that fact. So a good win for them.
And even after they ended up having Blabber get picked off at that Rift Herald fight, right? He still secured the eye.
Yes.
And they were still able to use the Herald to then get 3 plates. So they came out on top in that trade, too, in terms of money.
True.
So it's really not the worst thing in the world here. Cloud9 looking pretty good in this one, taking down Immortals, who, as you said, have found some competent wins against competent teams thus far. So Cloud9 needs to keep this energy up. They're definitely not at the level a lot of people were expecting them to be at this point. So they got to keep climbing, and they need to look as strong as possible doing it.
And that's the thing. For a lot of people, sure, it's memorable, the fact that they were struggling in the first 5 weeks. But it's just the first 5 weeks. Got a 9-week regular season.
Plenty of time.
A lot of time. And then you go into playoffs. There's so much where you just don't remember what happens in the first half of the show. The second half is just them hammering it home.
And our player of the game for this one is Vulcan on the support role. We saw him doing some big engages here. A lot of good ultis, too, protecting the team when Immortals tried to go in for the big team fight. He's the one there making sure, okay, heroic entrance on top of Perks, protect him. Nobody can find a counterattack now. He was where he needed to be.
100%. And I think it was a benefit of what was happening within his lane that he was able to make a move constantly and make an impact before the Alistar could. And I thought he understood that greatly. Was always there for his team, and it was a great job overall from him.
And with the game all wrapped up now, it's time for us to go to the next step. We're tossing it over to the stage for the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. I've got Perks by my side after that C9 victory. I do want to talk through this game a little bit. It felt like C9 were in control, a bit slower at the start. How did it feel from your perspective as far as the overall team performance?
Well, I'm actually pretty happy we had a slow game, because I lost like last 7 games in the Zakali and Screams because we were fighting for Crabs level 3. So my champ is never really useful. So on contrary to everyone's beliefs, I still thought Akali was a strong champion, and the slow game actually benefits Akali a lot. So I'm really grateful to myself and my team that we actually managed to have a slow game, yeah.
And our casters were grateful to see you on the Akali, though, talking about how they want to see you on these playmakers as opposed to things like the Victor, for instance. How do you feel that plays into what the team is looking for to have agency with a champion like that?
I mean, I'm usually good at making plays, so I do think I prefer those kind of champions. I mean, it just depends on the meta, whatever is strongest. I do like playing mages, and they're actually my most played champions, but it just depends what the meta and the team needs, I guess, yeah.
And when you're going into this game on the side of Immortals, they were bringing out a lot of strategies we've seen from them before. Insanity, for instance, on the Nocturne. That's working well for them. Did you worry at all about that being a threat that's coming from the mid lane, especially in the team fights later on?
Not really, because I believe Akali is a Nocturne counter, or like not a lane counter, but as a game, it's hard to go on her. And in team fights, she's quite good against Nocturne, so I was actually pretty happy playing this matchup. I didn't think that it would be hard for us to win, so it was just, we just got like what we wanted, yeah.
And it was great to see you and the rest of the team feeling good about the performance there, because obviously we're tracking how is Cloud9 doing since Sven has come back to the squad. Within last week to now, are there any notable improvements on the team in terms of synergy and getting back on the same page?
I mean, yeah, we are definitely improving in scrims as well. Playing with Jasper again, it's been great. We are improving on stage as well. As you can see, I'm finally able to wear a cap. I've been having hard times adjusting to stage this split because the lights are really bright and my eyes are very sensitive because I had eye surgery, and Riot didn't want to accommodate me to lower down the lights for the last 3 weeks. So now I finally have a doctor's note that I can wear a cap. So it's just honestly wonderful. I feel completely unleashed. I feel like I'm going to smurf every game now. I was feeling very like jeopardized the last couple of weeks. So I'm just really happy I'm finally free.
Bringing you into the shadows of your cap brought your performance into the light for everyone here on the stage.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about this week, it is rivalry week. Cloud9 are facing off against Team Liquid and TSM going tomorrow and the day after. Any thoughts about those two performances, especially with their histories against Cloud9?
I mean, personally, I think that TL and TSM are the best, one of the best teams with 100, right? So it's not easy games. I definitely think they're strong opponents, but I'm feeling very comfortable with my play and my team's performance right now. I think everybody's been stepping up. The Bishop pair has been truly operational. My support and jungle are really smurfing recently, so I'm feeling comfortable, and I'm just excited to face good opposition. Yeah, correct.
That comfort and that confidence really shown here on the stage today. Perks, thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you very much for having me.
We've got one more game to go. We're kicking to a break, but on the other side, it's time for CLGGG, baby. We'll see you there.
Change of range.